Bluefin Brands here. Welcome to It's Game Time, our video game event where we're celebrating everything in the realm of video games and action figures. David, how are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. I'm a little squinty-eyed today because I retracted the awning so that we could illuminate the amazing Super Mario Brothers display in front of me. But
I see that.
other than being squinty, I am fantastic and excited.
I love it. Malik Forte, how are you doing today? Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me, man. Doing great. All things considered. Still quarantining and staying safe.
Right. It's important. Definitely.
Yeah, and since I live in Los Angeles, California, another person in SoCal, being very sparing about how much I go outside because we got the smoky sky above us and all that air, you breathe it in and it just gives you a straight headache. My birthday was last week and I actually spent a little time outside, came home and head was pounding. So
right. Yeah, it's rough. You need a hazmat suit if you want to go out.
Right? Yeah.
I will say that the sky is a little more blue than gray today for the first time. You know, it's been really, really gray and gross the last week or so, but I almost could call it blue today. It's a blue-gray instead of a gray-gray.
That's a lot better than like that Blade Runner 2049 drone footage that was showing in like Oregon, where it's just like the orange sky or whatever.
Yeah.
San Francisco, right. That's where it was. Yeah, San Francisco.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah. No, Oregon just looks like a war zone right now.
Yeah.
Like everything's reduced to ash pretty much throughout the state, and it's scary. It looks like doomsday.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, I saw this crazy map, and it showed like all the fires on the West Coast, and it was like just the whole Pacific was just on fire, and all around Nevada, and like Nevada was just this like one spot where there's like no fires, and everyone's just like all the memes of like people like Gandalf like holding back the fire in Nevada and stuff like that. But,
yeah, it's all dirt. It's hard to burn dirt in Vegas.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Well, thank you again for joining us. Again, this is our video game event where we're celebrating all sorts of fun video game activities and action figures. You can head over to bluefinbrands.com/gametime and you will have access to all these fun and festive action figures. You saw Radiant over there earlier, and then now Scorpion. We are very excited about these Storm collectibles. You got to get your hands on these as soon as you get a chance. The accessories are pretty rad. That whole fatality with Raiden blowing up.
Yo, I was getting ready to say that's one of my favorite ones in the game because it's just unexpected. It's like, yo, he just freaking shot his head mid explode.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. How old were you when you were first exposed to Mortal Kombat and just the crazy violence that exists in that video game?
Oh man, that's a good question. When did Mortal Kombat come out?
So the first one was 92.
92. So I was 7.
Oh, there you go. Perfect age.
6 or 7 around that time.
That's amazing. That's the time to do it, man. I remember I was in a 7-Eleven and I stopped in just to get a snack, and I was like 12 years old, and there was this arcade machine for Mortal Kombat there, and I was watching this guy just ripping off heads with Sub-Zero and with the spine attached, and I'm like,
that's the first one.
Yeah. I was like, oh my god, this is the greatest game I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, I think my first fatality that I watched on Mortal Kombat was I had to say all that together. It had to be Kano. Yeah, it was Kano. Oh, yeah. That's what it was. The one where he ripped your heart out and just took a bite.
It's just like,
I remember sitting there thinking like, what is this game I want to play?
Yeah, it gets pretty intense. And then every game you get a new roster with all kinds of fun, festive characters. It got a little over the top at a certain point, but it's Mortal Kombat, so the bloodier the better, I suppose.
Yeah, they just get more and more over the top. When Johnny Cage was using you as a puppet in one of them.
It's pretty gnarly, right?
Yeah,
it's like
like he's like acting, and it's like he keeps killing the guy over and over, and he's like, "Who hired this guy?"
Right.
Like, God.
It makes you wonder which fatalities don't make it into the game. You know, they got to sit around a table and talk about all these crazy ideas, and when they think it's too crazy or it's not going to work, I'm kind of curious to see what that could have been.
Probably anything with like any innuendo in it, they cut it out.
Right.
Yeah.
We have standards.
We have standards here in
Blood
America.
And gore, yes.
We love seeing the head chopped off, but we don't want to see any nudity. No nudity.
I don't want there to be any implied naughtiness.
There was one where it was like kind of create your own fatality, and you just kept pressing as many buttons as you could, and you would like rip off an arm. I think it might have been like Armageddon or something. Like you rip off an arm, you rip out a heart, punch in their face, punch off their head, blah blah blah. And it was just too much going on. Like I'm like, just let me do one button and go one button fatality. I'm an idiot and make it happen.
Yeah, no, it's gotten so over the top, man. But I enjoy it, and you know what? I will say the more recent installments have sucked me in more so for the story than
Right.
the actual game, which wasn't the case with Mortal Kombat before. I just played for the fighting 1v1 experience, but now I like to see what they do with the characters and the character
Absolutely.
development.
When I think Mortal Kombat 9, when that came out, it sort of rebooted the whole franchise, and
Yeah.
you had to replay like a 4-hour story mode, and
Right.
it was brilliant. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, they
No, I
recapped
agree.
the first like 3 games and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts.
They had a bit of a story in Armageddon, but it was just like
Right. At the beginning, they're all running to that pyramid and just murdering each other the
Right.
whole way. It was pretty brutal.
That's
Yeah.
a pretty cool cinematic though. Just all of them just dying left and right. Just ugh.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Now, I see that you're obviously a pretty big video game fan. You got Chun-Li back there behind you.
Yeah.
Is your whole house all decorated with fighting game memorabilia, or just your little office?
You know, if I had my way, it would be, but I don't think my wife would allow that.
Yeah.
Nah, she'd be really cool about it. Honestly, I got them kind of spaced out here and there, but for the most part, we have like a closet, and I keep a lot of my collectibles and stuff in there. I have a couple Mortal Kombat ones. I have a ton of them, and I keep them all in this closet. So you walk in and you're just like, whoa, what the heck? There's all these. So that's pretty cool.
That is cool. I got the Death Stranding collector's edition, and I can't find anywhere in my house that the baby and the pod baby looks good anywhere. It's just like it just kind of clashes with all my.
It ties the whole room together, Justin. It ties the room together.
I
Obviously,
haven't
it's the
figured it out.
centerpiece of your dinner table. Just put it
Right.
right in the middle. Just push the fruit to the side. Just baby in a jar.
It's edgy for sure.
Assuming
it
you
has
never
no-
want another house guest again.
Right.
Right.
First thing you
It's like,
see.
what is that?
Right. It's the cornucopia. Check it out. It's a perfect centerpiece for Thanksgiving. Good stuff. Well, cool, man. What have you been up to?
Yeah, for me, recently, well, I just celebrated my birthday last week, my
Happy
anniversary,
birthday.
and my
Oh
wife's
my-
birthday, all
my
in the
God.
same week. So we kind of took a week away from things just to relax and enjoy each other and just enjoy, just to be grateful for another year of life, especially in this tumultuous year of 2020, where it seems like the world is burning every day you wake up. It was good to just be able to sit back and just kind of appreciate things and take some time to be grateful and whatnot. But now it's kind of back into things. For me, I've been definitely focusing a lot on this upcoming election, doing what little I can to encourage my friends to develop a political conscience of some sort. Because I'll be honest, me being a gamer and being so heavily entrenched in gaming for so long, I've been working in the industry for 13, 14 years. And I've been just kind of like tunnel vision, just always focused on what's going on in gaming, living in a bit of a bubble. And I've always been aware of what's going on politically, but I'd hear most of it from my mom. I hear most of it from my elders. Wouldn't really do my own research. I can't even say that I was educated properly going through school on these things, which I'm learning now seems to be the case with a lot of people here. So that's interesting. But I've definitely been taking my time as of recent to educate myself. Been doing a lot of reading and just trying to do my part in my civic duty to, uplift my friends who might be in the same predicament that I was in, where I was a little bit uneducated on some things and didn't really know what to do, and also just trying to encourage folks to interact and communicate and welcome opinions from all sides and all perspectives, so we can try to find some common ground. Because I think right now what we're seeing here in America, and we see it everywhere, but especially around election time here in the States, folks with differing political views tend to talk at each other and not with each other.
Sure.
And so I definitely want to keep encouraging folks to talk with each other and to, try to find some common ground. And that's just been my main focus. But mainly just getting people to register to vote. Like, just having that right and exercising it, I think is important for everybody. And that's what I've been really focused on doing.
No,
Yeah, it's
totally.
interesting when you're in your late teens, early 20s, you assume there's going to be some switch in your brain where you go from kid to adult, and then once you get to your mid to late 20s, you're like, Oh, no one's got their stuff together.
Right.
I'm totally normal. There is no adult Switch. Because when you were like a teenager, you looked at like people in like their 20s and 30s, you're like, oh, those are grown-ups. They know what's up. So one day I'm going to be like them. And then you get to their age and talk to them and like, oh, I didn't know what I was doing back then either.
Right.
Right.
And it's never too late either, right? That's the important thing.
Oh, yeah, it's never too late. Everybody's just trying to figure things out. You know?
Sure. I know, like on social media, it's a good platform to be able to talk to several people at once. You talk about, connecting with your friends and encouraging them to vote and do this, do that. And that's all good stuff. And when you have a platform that allows you to have that same conversation with thousands of people at once, makes things a lot more streamlined and easier. Of course, with social media also comes toxicity, and it's like draining, physically, emotionally, spiritually draining. Like I just have to like look at dog and cat and like monkey videos every now and again. Otherwise, I'll just go crazy because just so many hateful things going on my timeline, and it's exhausting.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand. Like looking at animal videos definitely helps. It's crazy because you want to. We coming from the gaming industry and coming from video games in this culture, like there's a lot to be happy about. Like especially now, we're getting ready to go into this new console generation.
Yeah,
and the PS5, the Xbox Series X, Series. Oh, how many do they have? Series Q, RX, TV,
right? Yeah,
whichever.
The naming gets complicated for sure.
The new Xbox. It's fun to celebrate all these things, but this is also like a very historical year and what's going on in the States. Like we're the natural disasters alone have been historical, from the wildfires and the amount of acres that have been burnt to ash. Just the way the political system is kind of being switched around and changed, and the way our elections are being run. All these things happening all at one time. So
right, and it's not like, just here; it's all over the world, right? Australia was on fire, Brazil was on fire. It's some scary stuff going on. It's hard.
There are people arguing PlayStation or Xbox,
right?
Or you can like them both. I understand a lot of people have to like choose one for financial reasons, but it's like all the DC and Marvel fanboys and stuff like that. Like you don't have to, if you like one better, you don't have to hate the other one. You could be like, well, I prefer PlayStation, but Xbox is cool. It's got Halo.
Yeah.
These should not be the hills you die on. Okay.
I got a confession. I grew up a Sega fanboy.
Oh, there you go.
Die-hard Sega fanboy. And then I morphed into a PlayStation fanboy. So I used to partake in those arguments pretty regularly. And sometimes I harken back to my psyche during that time. And I think, like, why was I doing that? Why was I so passionate? And the conclusion I came to was I felt like it was around the PS3 when that console launched. It was getting so much hate. It almost felt like the media was biased against the PlayStation, because here we have the Xbox 360. It had a 1-year advantage because it came out earlier. So the install base was bigger. And Microsoft was doing all these deals. They had like exclusive partnerships with all these developers. And it just seemed like there was no love for the PlayStation at all. And that everybody was championing the Xbox because it was like America's console. It's homemade. It's homegrown. We got to support the Xbox brand. Meanwhile, I'm like, I grew up playing PlayStation 1. Like, I feel like the PlayStation brand's been very like loyal to me. It felt like a traitorous for me to just like buy into the headline. So I felt like we need to defend the PlayStation, and I would engage in those arguments super hardcore. I made a whole YouTube channel.
Red Ring of Death.
Right.
He's got the Red Ring of Death.
PlayStation. I was like super into Nintendo. Nintendo was always my thing, and even like when transitioning from an N64 to a Sony PlayStation was a really big deal for me, especially since like spending so much of my time playing like GoldenEye or Mario Kart, and then all of a sudden like Gran Turismo comes out on PlayStation.
Wait a second. You play GoldenEye? Did you use Oddjob?
I would do both. Actually, I would do Xenia Zargea on the top and Jaws.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes I'd play Oddjob, but like I like to be like either the big guy or like the sexy killer lady. And we look a lot alike.
You're looking at me.
Me and Xenia, we're twins. We're identical. And she was like the closest thing to Baroness. Baroness was like my first celebrity crush in G.I. Joe. And so when I saw Xenia, I was like, okay, this is the closest I'm ever going to get to being Baroness. So that worked out. But total Nintendo fanboy for the longest time. But that was all that I had. And then I never had a Sega anything. I was like, 3 buttons, A, B, and C. How do you do that? That doesn't make any sense to me. But then once the PlayStation came out, and I started watching people play like Mortal Kombat 3 Ultimate on it, or something like Resident Evil. I was like, whoa. And, I remember playing Resident Evil 2 and just being like freaked out of my mind. And I was like, holy smokes.
Nightmares.
I was playing on a console where it looked like people chopped off faces and wrapped them around heads. Like, it looked really weird on the N64. But then when you transitioned over to PlayStation, it's like, whoa, this looks real. This is never going to get any better than this, right?
Yeah.
It's always funny how that works.
Just seeing the 3D models, the like actual bodies of, they're not just like the paste on or the, what did they used to do? They weren't mocap, but what did they call it when they would like actually shoot actors live?
Yeah, it's like full motion video, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like common in like PC games, like Under a Killing Moon, or
Or
what
Street Fighter, the movie, the game.
There you go, Street Fighter, the movie, the game.
Man, you're bold for bringing that one up.
Yeah,
That was actually the first. That was the first PlayStation 1 game I owned. I got my PlayStation 1 the Christmas of launch, and I was the only one who had it. And I remember I didn't even know how to plug it in, because until then, Nintendo's you screwed into your antenna. It had like the RF adapter and stuff like that, but these ones went right into your inputs, which seems second nature now. But to a what was I, like a 14-year-old kid at the time? I'm like looking, where's the thing I plug into the antenna?
Right.
And Street Fighter, the movie, the game was my first next gen game for PlayStation 1.
Wow, that's a hell of a game to kick off your your PlayStation ownership with. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts.
I got other ones too eventually.
There you go.
When you're a kid, you get like 2 games a year, or you used to be. Now it seems like video games are more accepted. So like my kids get games more often. But when I was a kid, I got a game on my birthday and a game at Christmas, and maybe if I got straight A's or something like that, I get a game.
There you go.
That was kind of the thing for me too. Getting good grades was typically an incentive, or I would get games as an incentive for that. So I did pretty decent in school for the most part for that reason. I was like, I need this new game. So
that's all it takes, right? Just a little motivation.
Motivation.
Because you don't want to get stuck with a game, and know you're not getting a new game for like 6 months. You're like, oh man, I have Street Fighter, the movie, the game. This is not going to be good.
Right. Well, it was tricky back then too, because the only real information that you had was from images from a magazine, or what some random like Nintendo Power or Game Pro or something like that. Yeah, and so you were really banking a lot on the cover. They say never judge a book by its cover, right? But video games, you're like, I don't know, man. That game looks pretty sweet. I don't know anything about it, but I'm about to drop whatever $60, $70 on this game. Like I think Turok was like $79 on Nintendo.
Oh yeah, that was super expensive for no reason.
So dumb, right? So it's crazy. Like, I don't know, I like dinosaurs and I like this guy with this sweet knife, so I better buy this game. And then
I like GoldenEye. What could go wrong?
Right. Especially with movies, right? Like franchise video games are always terrible, but we lucked out with GoldenEye. That game was amazing.
Yeah. The way they used to market games was definitely interesting. Do you guys remember the show called Nick Arcade?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that show quite a bit, and every time I would see a game I liked on there, I would go buy it.
There you go.
So I ended up buying this game on Sega Genesis called Toki Going Ape Spit. I would have never bought that if I saw the cover, because it's just like this ape spitting on people, and I'm like, what is this? But I actually saw the gameplay on that show, and it made me go buy it. So.
What was the one where at the end you got to go on a shopping spree and you had like a Velcro suit and you would just grab games and put them on like your helmet and your chest and your legs?
I thought that was Nick Arcade.
Is that one?
Yeah, that's Nick Arcade, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that's the end. Okay. Just making sure.
I used to.
Can you imagine?
Right?
It's like, okay, I'm going to do this, right? Give me one of them Velcro suits. I got this.
It's always just walking like a tornado, just spinning around, letting it stick to you.
Yeah, or they should put one of those like cash machines, but instead of grabbing cash, just big old boxes hitting you in the head in the wind tunnel. You gotta grab as many as you can. Are you excited for the PlayStation showcase that's tomorrow, where we get to learn a little bit more about the PS5 and maybe a launch day and price?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited because I feel like we are going to get that information, and it's getting close. So I want to know more details, and I'm just excited because it's just something to get my mind off of everything else. Honestly,
right.
I was worried that the PS5 wasn't even going to come this year, and the Xbox wasn't going to come this year. So the fact that we're getting them is great. That said, I do think that since I've converted to playing video games on the PC, like my excitement has dwindled just a little bit because I do know at the end of the day, if I want my games to perform at the highest possible specifications,
Sure.
that I should probably play them on my PC, which, you know, me being a devout console fanboy for so long, it's hard to like, you know, to stand by that, but it's the truth. So
Sure.
it is what it is. And what I really do hope with this next generation of gaming is that a lot of the developers embrace running their games in the highest frame rate possible, be it 60 frames per second, 120 frames, 240 frames. That's what I want. But it seems like with this generation of console gaming that's coming up, the main focus is making sure they get all the games in 4K.
Yeah.
And like being a tech nerd, for me, I play the games for like the performance more so than I do for the visuals. So that doesn't get me as excited. That makes me think like maybe I should just like stick to my PC.
Right.
But all that being said, yeah, I'm excited. See what PS5 has to offer.
I think something to be said about being like an older gamer, you know, like there wasn't a whole lot to Space Invaders or Pac-Man or Mario Brothers to where I don't need amazing graphics. I'm sure they're cool, you know, like I can play like Last of Us or Ghost of Tsushima and just be blown away like, oh my God, it's like the most gorgeous game I've ever played in my entire life. And that's cool and all. But sometimes I just need to be a big circle eating smaller circles. And I'm totally right. As long as it runs. Yeah, that's all I need. I'm a simple creature, I guess.
Yeah, totally. I'm definitely in that frame of mind where it's about the performance of the game and the game itself more so than the visuals. The stunning visuals are great and we love them. And don't stop doing that, game developers. Please keep it going. Right. There has to be a point where we kind of stop and push the performance of the games forward a little bit so it can match up with those good visuals.
Sure.
And some companies have caught wind of that very early. I think part of the reason why games like Call of Duty, for instance, have been such a huge success is because they've been running their games around 60 frames per second for a very long time. They built their engine to do that. So when people played Call of Duty, they were thinking like, yo, this game looks amazing. And then that wasn't necessarily the graphics that made it look amazing. It was the fact that you could see things a little clearer because the game ran so smoothly with the frame rate. And so frame rate is like, it's like one of these things that only like the really nerdy guys like myself will talk about. But I do think that it's something that can impact gaming in the long run for the better if we see more games implement this, or more developers implement this into their games. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for either the folks at Sony or the folks at Microsoft to say, hey, every developer is required to put their games out in 60 frames on our console. When that happens, then I'll start typing.
Sure.
So I'm just kind of like, whatever.
And I think you're going to get a lot of that with the Series S because, you know, it's a 1440 resolution, and so they are going to focus more on performance. You know, with Call of Duty, I think what's interesting about that game is that, you know, I can suck at 60 frames per second, or I can be terrible at 120 frames. It doesn't matter. But there's so much going on, like with just like the audio drivers and the sound of the guns, sound of the footsteps, you know, the explosions. It's like a complete package. And Call of Duty has always been a guilty pleasure for me. I buy it every single year. I'm always like suckered into it. I'm like, whatever, I don't care. I can have one game where I can have like a 4:1 KD ratio, or I could be like 0.16.
Right.
I can just be terrible, and I still enjoy the hell out of it.
It's so crazy. It's the cycle.
They've just figured out a formula that works for me to where I don't care if it's the worst game I've ever had or the best game I ever had. I had a phenomenal time playing it.
Well, the next consoles, I'm most looking forward to buying Minecraft for like the 100th time on a different console, since I have two children who are the gamers of the family, and just looking for another console for them to play Fortnite and Minecraft on.
Sure. And you know what's funny about the visuals of Minecraft is it's like, you know, this blurry, blocky mess, and like I could never get into it. I just had a conversation right now about like visuals not mean anything to me, but for whatever reason, Minecraft is just can't do it.
I feel like there's a difference between like overall visuals and aesthetic.
Sure.
So maybe it's more so the aesthetic of Fortnite where you're like, nah, I'm not really with the aesthetic of this. It's a little too cartoony for me or whatever. But graphically, Fortnite, they're adding the update this week that adds ray tracing. So like it's pretty soon the lighting effects in that game are going to be even better than they already are. So
Sure.
graphically it'll make it come up, but I can kind of understand what you're saying, like as far as aesthetic goes. There's a couple games, like this is a super unpopular opinion, but a game that I have not played because I look at the aesthetic and I'm like, Fall Guys.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's played Fall Guys, it seems like, on my timelines. And I haven't quite taken the plunge yet, and I don't plan to because the aesthetic just doesn't really look like something I can vibe with.
That's interesting, especially since a game like that's so addicting, though. Like, I'm just curious, if you were to get a taste of it, would you just kind of turn your blinders on and just kind of ignore the aesthetic because it's so much fun? I'm curious how that. You should do an experiment, like just kind of let yourself have a drink and then just start playing it and see what you think, and give yourself 30 minutes and see how you do.
Yeah, I'm sure if I'm playing with friends, I could probably have a good time with the game. It just didn't attract me.
Sure.
More so like when I saw Horizon Zero Dawn for the first time, I was like, I got to play this. Very attractive. Even this new fad, because you know how gaming now, we have these like fads of things that are like super popular. Like it was Fall Guys, and now it's this game Among Us that everybody's playing. And it's the Among Us. It's really simple 2D aesthetic, and it didn't scare me away the same way Fall Guys did, if that makes any sense. So
sure. Do you ever do any like VR gaming?
From time to time. I don't have a VR setup myself, so I have friends who have VR setups, and if I'm ever like around them, then I'll take the plunge.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
VR is best enjoyed in a group, and by that I mean a group of people looking at someone wearing the headset, doing goofy movements, and just being completely oblivious to how ridiculous they look, and then you record them.
Yeah.
I will say I've played VR chat.
Oh.
And you don't really need a headset to play VR chat. And yeah, that's just that's a crazy place to go. If you ever want to know how it feels to have Cheetos in your brain, play VR chat.
Oh wow. Mm-hmm. It is weird though when like that little transition takes place where suddenly it does trick your brain. I remember watching like this. I had talked about this before, where I was on this floaty island, and it was basically like Fantasia, and music was playing, and the flowers were lighting up to the beats of the music. And when I first heard it, I was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool." I'm watching giant like stingrays fly by, and then eventually I worked up the nerve to step to the edge of the cliff. And like I'm in an office, and for some reason my brain just made me think that I was literally on a floating island, and I'm looking like such an idiot walking all slow to get to the edge and look over. But at a certain point, a switch was flipped in my brain to where I thought I was there. I thought that was kind of remarkable.
Yeah, that sounds like a trip. That's crazy.
It blew me away. And I mean, it was a pretty expensive set, so I didn't have like 10,000 wires hanging off my face and hands, which I think makes a difference. Once you can remove sort of that tethered feel, then I think it'll, get in a lot more hands.
Feel a little bit more immersive.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that VR will be a viable gaming platform overall? Because when I play VR games, when I ever have put on an Oculus or the HTC Vive or any of those, it's been more of an experience for me. And, I enjoy having those experiences, and I have fun doing the things like this one where you're at a shooting range with a sword and all this stuff. And all that stuff is cool. But then I take the headset off, and I don't really feel like the desire to ever go back or anything. When I play games typically. I just feel like, I experienced that. Maybe I'll do it again someday. It's not like, I got to do that again tomorrow and the next day and the next day. It's never that. So I don't know. Do you guys feel like it's a viable gaming platform that you can?
I'm kind of in the same boat as you, to where like I have fun. I like to play like fun little like mini games and things like that, or maybe like watch like a small little video clip or something like that. But like if I was going to immerse myself into something where I played like a couple hours a day, like Last of Us or something like that, I don't know if I would want to put on a headset and just be that kind of immersion for a 4-hour game session.
Right.
Yeah. Not my cup of tea. I mean, if it was like Ready Player One or something, right, where I'm just able to jack into this whole other world and be a part of this complete other experience, then that might be another story. But where we are right now, and probably for the next like 25 years, I'm a simple creature, and I just want to have a controller and a black box and a TV and then just sit there and play until I'm done. I can't do the long sessions of VR gaming.
Yeah,
They did one cool thing. I watched a Laker game with my brother. We both had the PlayStation VRs on, and we were basically sitting courtside at a Laker game, and it was broadcast. To where look to your left, you see this is back when fans used to go to basketball games. Look to your left, and they're fans. Look to your right, fans. So it's like you're actually there. The only difference was the guy directly next to me was an avatar of my brother, and we had our headsets in so we could talk to each other and discuss the game and stuff like that. So that was
cool.
pretty cool.
It was cool.
Yeah,
That's cool. I've been watching the NBA playoffs and seeing those little advertisements for the Oculus VR audience that's watching. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it was definitely a trip, and it was just cool because you're right there, and then some you can tell the players who know it's there, and they'll make gestures towards it or something like that. Other people just ignore it, but
Yeah.
That's super cool.
How do I get to be one of those cardboard cutouts at a baseball game? That's what I want to be.
you pay $100 and they'll make you one.
$100?
You can spend that
Yeah.
money on getting a Bluefin Brands figurine. Why would
There
you?
you go.
Why would you spend that money on?
I don't know. If I'm a
What is
skinny
it?
cardboard cutout, I might take them up on it. I don't want to be actual size.
Right.
Well, that's the thing. You send in the picture, so send in a skinny picture.
Oh yeah, I need a skinny
Get on the Photoshop.
filter. Here
I
we
would
go.
send my cardboard cutout to them, but with a mask on. That's
There you
fun.
go.
Yeah.
Send the message.
Well, it's funny. Someone hit a home run and took the head off of one of the cardboard cutouts, and the guy it was his cardboard cutout. He messaged the teams like, "Hey, if I was there, I would have caught that ball." And so the person who hit the home run sent him the ball and sent him his bat and everything. It was kind of cool.
Oh wow.
That's funny.
And then in the Royal Stadium, in the background, you got Bernie from Weekend at Bernie's back there. You see all these soccer leagues and stuff like that. Like one of them, they have one guy paid thousands of dollars to put terrible people in the audience. He had Osama bin Laden, and he had just other terrible people from history, and just got past the censors, I guess.
Wow.
Wow. Mhm.
So you go, oh look, there's Napoleon. He's watching me play soccer.
It's too much.
What? That is crazy. I feel like anything you do that's fan interfacing, you have to screen it somehow.
Yeah.
Because stuff like that will happen. When I was working for the Overwatch League, we used to do these things where we let the audience, we give a hashtag out there and let the audience send pictures with the hashtag of what teams they were supporting and stuff like that, or pictures of them at the game. And one day somebody used the hashtag to get on the broadcast, and they made it on. And basically it was the picture of this serial killer.
Whoa.
Huh.
That we didn't know who it was. So we were just acting like it was a normal fan. But it turned out to be a serial killer, and I was like, some things are just hard to screen. So, but I would figure if you saw Osama bin Laden, you would think maybe not.
Yeah,
This one.
he stands out. But if you send me a picture of Ted Bundy as a 20-year-old, I probably wouldn't recognize him.
Exactly.
Right.
Unless he were actually in the process of murdering someone, I would be like, oh, yeah, that's a fan.
Right.
Man. How do you
Yeah,
hosting esports? Was that a pretty big trip for you?
I enjoy it, man. I enjoy it. Enjoyed it. I haven't hosted any esports for a few weeks here, and mainly because I've been shifting focus. Esports is a very interesting scene, though. It's got a lot of growing to do. I feel like the rest of gaming, we're starting to see it develop, and it has developed in a lot of ways, especially I would say the broadcasting side of it has been growing quite a bit.
Sure.
I would say traditional gaming, journalism, has grown quite a bit, and just the things that are kind of companion to video games, like you guys here at Bluefin, providing the accessories that are gaming related, stuff like that. We're starting to see a lot of that happening a lot more, and that's always great. Esports, as long as it's been around, it feels like the growth is so slow with this industry. And so to be a part of something like Overwatch League, where we're on ABC, we're on ESPN every weekend, we're on Disney, we're doing all these things in these arenas that are selling out. It's really cool. It's it actually felt like there was some growth and some movement happening there. And, I imagine it would have been more of that had we not, gotten hit with the pandemic, kind of stalled everything and sent everything back to being online. But there's still a lot more growth to be done. there's still a lot of stories of players not getting paid on time, and players dealing with the mental health struggles of being a professional player and the pressure that comes with that. These guys are so young, and I think that's the craziest part of the whole situation. Was I used to be in their shoes, but in the time where it was far less monitored and far less lucrative. When I was playing professionally, it was back when Rainbow Six Vegas was like one of the king esports games out. And, you go to MLG, you win maybe $900 for one of those tournaments, maybe $1,000, and you were happy with that. That's like, yo, I want that. Now, millions of dollars on the line for these games. So these kids got so much pressure, like talking about literally changing the lives of their families on the line and just like one little finger movement or click or whatever the case. And that's a lot of pressure. And so I think when I was working at some of these esports establishments and seeing these kids like backstage, like crying and just dealing with the pressure, it just made me think like, man, we really need to like take some notes from like traditional sports and just other endeavors like this, where someone is forced to take their mental to the brink of performance, because it takes its toll after a while. I would hope we see like more therapists and just more sports medicine folks involved in the gaming world, because right now it's not as normal. It's not as normal for us to see that, and it's definitely showing that these players are, they're dealing with a lot mentally, and it hurts. So I think that's been one of the big takeaways for me, man. There's just a lot of growth that needs to be done. I mean, I just gave a couple examples there. Overall, though, I enjoy it. I'm gonna love competitive gaming till the day I'm gone. I just want to see the scene continue to grow. I want it to be lucrative. I want it to be fair. I want the integrity to be there. I want it to be inclusive. I want everybody to be involved. I would love to see a lot more professional women out there playing at the top ranks with all the men, because there are definitely women who can get down on these games. They just don't really get the exposure to the communities and the access to the communities, because the communities tend to be boys clubs. I know that because I used to be a part of that stuff. So
right.
I just want to see it continue to grow.
Those are all valid points. And the mental health aspect, that's actually a really good point, because that's something that no one really likes to talk about. Mental health awareness has grown quite a bit just in the last decade. Just having access to different people that you can call, or websites you can go to, groups where you can actually communicate with people and not feel like an idiot or that something's wrong with you. And I can't even imagine having to have the whole world watching you play a video game, and if you mess up and your team loses, then that's on you. Like it's like every game is the Super Bowl, and it's important that you win, and that pressure has got to be just through the roof. I can't imagine. And
and I think a lot of like the professional sports, what they've done is they've created these like lower levels of the sport to kind of like get you used to performing. So you start as a kid playing Little League, and you're playing in front of like your parents, and then you move up to play high school ball, and you're playing against a couple other people. Get to like college ball, you're playing, the stadiums are getting bigger, and it's getting a little more pressures, but it's not, World Series pressure. Then you start through the minor leagues. And so by the time you've gotten to like the major leagues, unless you're some just wunderkind who like just is God's gift, you've played hundreds, if not thousands of games in front of crowds, in front of audiences, where you've succeeded, you failed. And even when you failed, you realize, well, the sun's going to come up tomorrow and I'll be fine. And, sure, we've all been playing video games our whole lives, but it's very different from, the three of us playing, Halo on Xbox Live versus, playing for, like you said, $1 million in like an Overwatch tournament or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. I think you made a really good point there. Our tier 2 scenes in esports need to step it up big time. In order for our pro scenes, our top level scenes to really thrive, we got to have some developmental process for these players so they can grow a little bit mentally, so they can grow a little bit just in other aspects, and then, take on a full-on professional career with all that pressure and stuff.
Sure.
Because right now they're just going in with no prep.
Right. And it's all still so very new. I mean, we've had like video game competitions since like arcades, right? But I mean, the level of theatrics that are involved with esports now.
Yeah,
before it used to be, Nintendo's coming to your state. We're gonna have this competition at this mall, and you're gonna play and win. It's gonna be amazing, right? Now it's like you said, millions of dollars. It's houses that are filled with with esports athletes, and they're sitting there going to town and they're training.
Yeah, man.
Straight up Hunger Games. They're pledging to be tributes to go on and do big and better things.
Right.
And it's all so very new and still very much in its infancy, and that learning curve can be extremely painful for everyone involved.
Yeah, I remember all the old fighting game tournaments. Everybody crammed into the same room, just like watching each other, you know, and that was it. We come from a different time though. Like, you know, we were talking about Mortal Kombat 2 earlier, and you know, just the fact that we existed in a time where the internet wasn't everything, like where we were disconnected. And a lot of these kids now, they're connected from the day they come out, you know, like sometimes their parents give them access to the internet and these things at a very young age. So, you know, they don't really know the world without the internet, and that becomes who they are. That becomes their existence, their profile on the internet. So when that's being put up to judge every time they step out there and perform in this video game, it does something to them. Some of these guys, they lose the games and they think that it's the end of the world for them. And really, they think that makes them a much less person just losing a game, even if they're a champion, you know, or a former champion. Just losing one time can just crash their mental. And it's crazy. It's crazy.
I remember the first time I hooked up one of my consoles to the internet. It was by Sega Genesis, and they had something. It was like the AD something. It wasn't Advantage, but it doesn't matter. It was the first like modem you could put on. It came for the Genesis and Super Nintendo, and I worked at Blockbuster Video at the time, and so they gave us one, and I was the only one who had a Genesis, so they let me take it. And I remember hooking up to like the internet and playing like Primal Rage on probably some like 14 or something like that.
Throwback.
And thinking like, how dumb! No one's gonna ever want to play games on the internet. That was incorrect.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. Wait, Primal Rage? You were actually able to play that online?
Yeah, it was one of the few games that was supported. I'll have to look it up, but yeah, it was a peripheral that you plugged into the back of your Genesis, and I believe they had one for Super Nintendo as well, but I had the one for the Genesis.
Oh wait, was that Sega TV?
No, it wasn't. I don't think so, because I'll have to find it later. But
okay.
Yeah, so you'd hook it in, and you hooked it in right directly into your phone line. And I'm assuming it was just basically a modem in the back of your.
I feel like I remember something like that, but I couldn't afford it. I do know Sega though; they were on the frontiers of taking console gaming to online, because Dreamcast most definitely was like the first one I think that could connect with broadband, and I thought that was like revolutionary when it happened. I was like, oh my goodness, I need a Dreamcast.
Yikes!
Marvel Capcom.
Right?
Yeah. Man, last time I played Primal Rage was at the arcade that existed at Disneyland. Starcade, yeah. That was the last time I ever played Primal Rage. I got destroyed. It's not good.
It happens.
I was like, oh, this monkey looks like he's got it going on. I'll be this guy. And then, nope, got destroyed.
It's got to be the T-Rex.
There you go. That's crazy. You said that you had a Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath code to give away. Is that correct, Dave?
Yes.
How do we want to do that?
I don't know.
Let's see here. I didn't put any thought into that, and I apologize.
Well, we can have people just comment in the video wherever they're watching it, and we'll draw a winner later on today. That might be the best way. Someone was saying they were playing on the Dreamcast with dial-up.
Oh,
DSL was life.
Perfect.
Going back in the day. So we have a Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath code for the console of your choice, be it Switch, Xbox, PlayStation 4, or Steam. So comment on this video if you're watching on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, wherever you're watching it, and we'll pick a winner, and we'll notify you via direct message.
Perfect. Easy peasy.
Yeah,
Alrighty, Malik.
keep it easy.
I know, I like that. I like your display there, man. You got all kinds of crazy Mario action.
I have the Marios. Man. They've been like
the 35th anniversary.
That's right. I'm excited. There's gonna be some cool stuff coming out. Actually, in like 2 days, it's when the collection comes out with Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy. So
yeah, that's exciting.
It's how I remember my age based off of Mario. We were same year.
Right. Nice. Nice. I remember when I got a Nintendo Entertainment System. It was a birthday present, and it was remarkable. And I had an Atari 2700, so it was quite the jump. I was like, sweet. And I mean, I love Mario. I'm a sucker for Mario. I have a Mario and I have a Bowser tattoo, for crying out loud.
Yeah, we got it Christmas of '85, and we got, or maybe it's '86, when we got Punch Out, Top Gun, Mario Kart, Duck Hunt, and I couldn't tell you the last game. That's how good
Oh
it
my
was.
gosh.
Donkey Kong Jr. That was my 5th game.
That's too much.
Ooh.
And we got a TV because it was the present for me, my brother, and my sister, and it got put in our bedroom. And so we had the TV, the Nintendo, and 5 games.
That's pretty good. I got, it was like the Mario Duck Hunt bundle, right? And then I got Kung Fu and Sky Kid. And Kung Fu had like, you know, Mr. X or whatever was the bad guy. And if he killed you, do like that horrible wah, 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 wah. Like, hey, yeah, poor girlfriend got kidnapped at the beginning. It's terrible. What can you do, man? Good stuff. Do you remember what your first Nintendo game was? Your Sega, rather. What was it?
Oh, my first. Well, I had a Nintendo too. I actually had an NES before I got the Genesis. The NES. My first NES game was the Super Mario. It was Super Mario.
Nice.
My favorite was Chip and Dale.
Oh yeah, hearing the theme for like 6 levels in a row.
Yep. I loved it.
Like chip tones.
Eat this giant apple that I'm gonna throw at you.
Well, I just got so much joy when the show came on. So just being able to play the game and hear the music, it was like indoctrination for me. I was becoming a squirrel, slowly but surely.
Totally.
There was Monterey Jack. You're up. I hope there's no cheese.
Right. There was one episode where I had like this orange soda that they were celebrating, and the song was like, "Come along, you belong, feel the fizz of Coca-Cola." And I haven't seen that since it came out, but it was tremendous marketing, and it has stuck with me ever since.
So catchy.
So stupid. Love it.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, don't tell me ads don't work on kids.
Right. I know, that's the way it works, right? All those commercials is just telling you to buy.
Mm-hmm.
You watch He-Man, they show you how to play with your He-Man toys. You watch G.I. Joe, they show you how to play with your G.I. Joe. Pokemon, for crying out loud, is teaching you how to play the game while you're watching it.
Yeah. Everybody remembers the Skip It theme.
Right. Skip it. Yeah. I watched this video where this lady like took off her shoe and then put her shoe through the hole and then put her leg through the hole and then put her shoe back on. That was very funny. It's like, oh, you're doing it wrong.
Just want to make sure she don't want to break it. She don't want to break any regulations in the official Skip It League. The OSL it's a hardcore organization.
Yes, a lot of integrity.
Her coordination is probably ridiculous.
Yeah, then she spun around once, hit her shin, and then she's like, ah.
Yeah, it's stupid. Not doing it
Then
anymore.
she took her shoe off, took her foot out, pulled her shoe through the hole, and put the shoe back on.
Whoa. She did the most.
Oh, that's great. Well, where
It's a
can
process.
people keep up with you, Malik?
Yeah, I'm at Malik #4PLAY. So yeah, at Malik Forte. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, pretty much any social media platform except Facebook, under that name. And Twitch as well. And on YouTube, you can just type in Malik Forte and I'll pop up on YouTube.
Do you stream pretty regularly on Twitch?
I haven't been because of this break I've taken, but yeah, I'm getting ready to go into a long stretch of live streaming going into the holiday, especially with the PS5 coming out. I'm going to be doing a podcast, countdown to the next gen. So we're going to be counting down to the next gen games or game systems and just all the politics around that from a gaming industry insider's perspective. And that's going to be a lot of fun. And then, playing all these new games that are coming out too. And most importantly, what I got coming up is just I'm going to be doing a lot of work with Gamers.vote and just a lot of different or various organizations across the gaming landscape that are focusing on getting people registered to vote and just getting people to the polls safely, getting people the information that they need so they can make the right decision and things of that nature.
Perfect. That's all good stuff.
That's super important.
Yes. I think I went to the library when I registered to vote when I turned 18.
Yeah, I had to go to the fire station.
Oh,
Right
nice.
up the street. I had to go to the fire station. So I could cast my vote for Bill Clinton, the first person I ever voted for.
Oh, really?
That'll show you how old I am.
There you go.
Yeah, I think the first election I voted in was the one where it was George W. Bush and John Kerry, I think.
Okay, sure.
That was my first one.
2004?
Yeah, I couldn't vote for Gore or Bush. I think I was like right on that edge of that one, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure.
Well, now I feel really old.
that was actually my first election. Was the 2000?
Oh yeah,
That's 96, 2000, 2004. We're just like a little.
I mean, I was already 20, but you were lucky. You got to be 18 in time.
During an election year.
What can you do?
right.
I voted.
There you go. It's crazy. Do you still have to go and like sign up for the draft that doesn't exist when you turn 18? Is that a thing?
I don't think so.
Man, I remember when I had to do that. I'm like, what? And then when
Yeah, that was strange.
Yeah, and then I was doing like this whole like stupid TSA thing where I had to like go through the process to do like the pre-check for people, and I had to give my draft number. I'm like, I don't even know how you look that up, but the power of Google was able to figure it out for me.
Wow.
No, right?
Was that recent?
That was like 2 years ago.
Wow.
I know,
I
right?
don't know what draft
Crazy.
number is.
I know. I was like, wow.
I remember registering to vote at the DMV, so
Oh, nice. Good for you.
that was it. I don't remember though. I would assume I had one. I'll look it up.
And now people go online or on Facebook and do it.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
You don't even have to get out your PJs. There's no
Brave
We're all
excuse now.
exposed.
Brave new world.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
There's
Well,
no
thank you
excuse not
again
to get out.
for joining us. Remember, everyone, to visit bluefinbrands.com/game time, and that'll take you to our big sale event that we're having. Follow us on social media at Bluefin Brands across all social media: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch. And we are Bluefin Video for YouTube. And we are also having a photo contest. Be sure to submit for that. It is basically we want to see your favorite action figures that are fighting characters in this contest. All you got to do is take an awesome picture and do hashtag Bluefin Photo Contest to be entered to win. Easy peasy. And I think that's all I got. Dave, you got anything else, Dan?
That's it. Thank you so much for joining us, and we had a great time. So everybody stay safe, and if you're outside like I am, be careful.
Yes. And register to vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank
And
you
drink
so
your water
much.
for dares.
Or your monster.
Or your monster.
Thank you, guys.